In today's day and age, it's not very common to find an active serial killer, let alone an arresting one that has been on the run for 10 years, seemingly out of the blue. And we ended up finding that one, a rare individual, over this past weekend, the Gilgo Beach serial killer. And he's apparently been identified as Rex Heuermann. Okay. This dude right here, he was out here, and he's been charged with 3 murders. 3 murders so far, and you can apparently attach somewhere up to about 12 different instances to him. There's a lot to unpack here, so here's just a little bit of an overview on this. It's not going to be totally comprehensive, but it'll give you a good place to start, and we'll see what ends up happening. But Gilgo Beach serial killer suspect Rex Heuermann, a stunning arrest by plainclothes cops caught on video. Suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann was caught on video strolling down the Midtown sidewalk in moments before plainclothes cops swooped in to arrest him. Heuermann, 59, appeared oblivious as he walked along with messenger bags slung over his shoulder. Suddenly, plainclothes officers can be seen stepping in front of, then surrounding the architect. So he's an architect, so a reasonably smart man, and taking him into custody. Takedown occurred close to Heuermann's Fifth Avenue office Thursday night. Heuermann appeared in court Friday afternoon and pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder and other charges related to the deaths of 3 women over 10 years ago. A lifelong suburbanite was emotionless in court. Was also named as a prime suspect in a 4th killing. When he was taken into custody, the DNA found in his hair, on the hair of victim Megan Waterman matched that of his. Taken to investigators from a discarded pizza crust in January. Wait a minute. Okay, why did he become a suspect back in January? And the only way that they could go about getting his DNA was from a discarded pizza crust? And judging by the size of this guy, I don't think he really discards a whole lot of food. Investigators swarmed Heuermann's ramshackle Massapequa Park home Saturday, scouring evidence of the rundown backyard and removing seemingly random items. Cat food, cat scratch pole, framed picture, and an empty bookcase. Alright, so he had a whole bunch of shit in his backyard. No surprises there, but it doesn't look all that bad. He's got a greenhouse, he's got a little garden, got some tarps on shit, and yeah, he looks exactly like what you'd expect from a serial killer. Listen, man, I'm an equal opportunity comedian, man, okay? When it comes to serial killers and panel van enthusiasts, you can always just point to a couple of different fringe examples, but that's basically the domain of the white man. If you want to talk about inner city gun violence, well, of course, you got basketball Americans to go and point at. Drug smugglers across the southern border, ondale. You already know what time it is. And where do they get the drugs from? Oh, the guys in, the little pointy hats. The ones that go over their head, not the little ones on the crown. Those are the bad guys. Anyways, but yeah, man, apparently this guy ended up yeeting some chicks over a very short period of time. Within a couple of days' time in December of 2010. Amber Lynn Costello, Metheny, well, that's probably a nickname. Melissa Barthélemy, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, and Megan Waterman. Rex Heuermann, a married dad of 2. Not too dissimilar from, Green River Killer? Like, most of these guys, it's like unassuming people that you never would have expected have a deep, dark past. They just go on living a life until they just end up getting snatched up by police officers. Outside of the eccentrics like Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy, these guys are just, if it does end up being him, and I guess some DNA ends up pointing to it, unless you are to believe his attorney in this situation, it's like, okay, cool, you guys have a tenuous DNA attachment to one of the chicks. What else you got? But Gilgo Beach cops ignoring significant and stronger leads pointing to suspects other than Rex Heuermann, defendant's lawyers saying, but you kind of got to say that, right? There's nothing about Heuermann that would suggest that he's involved in these incidents, the suspect lawyer, Michael Brown, said in a statement. And while the government has decided to focus on him, despite more significant and stronger leads, we are looking forward to defending him in a court of law before a fair and impartial jury of his peers. Heuermann is charged with murdering 3 women whose remains were found near his home. Well, it's Long Island. A lot of people live there. along the South Shore in 2010. He's the prime suspect in the death of the fourth victim, cops have said. Heuermann, who runs Midtown architecture firm RH Consultants and Associates, is a loving husband to his wife, a dedicated father to his daughter and stepson. Oh man, this guy. Well, it was already a big L for being a potential murderer, but then also being the dad who stepped up. Yuck. Said his client has no prior criminal history, but the police is linked to the 6'4". Yo, like this dude is huge, and we got some funny jokes on top of that as well afterwards, but it's always these big dudes. Good thing I'm not really overtly violent like that. Anyways, these crimes through witness tips, mobile phone records, okay, that could be a bit of an issue, and including burner phones and DNA plucked from discarded pizza crust. So, okay, suspected serial killer Rex Heuermann, and New York City architect, married dad of two, was arrested in connection with the unsolved Gilgo Beach murders. The arrest was tied to the so-called Gilgo 4 women found wrapped in burlap within days of each other in late 2010. Years-long investigation that led to the arrest revolved around the discovery of more than 10 sets of human remains. Yeah, there's a whole bunch, and that's what I'm saying there off rip, that there's a lot of additional threads that could be tied into this situation. Most victims were petite female sex workers with green or hazel eyes. Again, just another common occurrence when it comes to serial killers, end up yeeting chicks that are on the streets. There were also two exceptions, a 2-year-old girl and a young Asian man. So yeah, who knows if these are all his remains? It's going to be tough to prove it. Maybe it was just, somebody that got a little bit too close to the situation with the Asian dude there, ended up seeing a little bit too much and he needed to go over and put him in a rear naked choke. And then as for the 2-year-old girl, yeah, it's just sad. Yeah, Melissa, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Amber Lynn Costello, Megan Waterman, Jessica Taylor, Jane Doe number 5, discovered March 29th, 2011 along Ocean Parkway. Valerie Mack using, Jane Doe number 6, unidentified Asian man, April 4th, 2011. Yeah, Jane Doe number 7, Shannon Gilbert, all of these other people as well. Heuermann was arrested Thursday outside of his office and charged with the murders of Melissa Bartholomew. Keep wanting to say Bartholomew, but anyways, not accurate. Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello. His bodies were found in the marshy area of Gilgo Beach. Police said the suspect in the death of Maureen Brainerd Barnes was found nearby at the same time. In all, authorities found 11 bodies in the marshy stretch, and used DNA evidence. How are you going to get DNA? How are you going to get reliable DNA evidence if they were found in such a compromised area? It'll be very difficult to prove in court, but now we're starting to have detailed accounts of who Rex is, I guess, by former colleagues, and trying to paint a little bit more of a complete picture because, okay, you have a married father of 2 who apparently did some really wild shit about a decade ago. I'm a firm believer in innocent until proven guilty, so go ahead and, spill the tea, if you will. Gilgo Beach suspect Rex Heuermann was a blank cipher who lacked empathy. Okay, well, he's also a big guy, and maybe didn't want to come off as being, too intimidating. I'm just trying to tell the other side of this. Okay, and rubbed peers the wrong way at work as a building code stickler. Okay, so what? He was precise in his job. Interesting. I guess he could, piece together some details there. Former colleagues reveal. But he still loved after work happy hours in Manhattan pubs. So apparently he wasn't that much of a hindrance to the workplace social order that he would go out on happy hours as well. Okay, suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann was a blank cipher. I've never heard that description before, but okay. Design director Niv Miyasoda, who worked with the architect for years after meeting him in the 90s, revealed the two clashed at times when Heuermann was working at the firm to expedite architectural drawings through the New York City Buildings Department. Speaking to DailyMail.com on Monday, Miyasoda, 62, described his co-worker as a hard-nosed architect who pissed off a lot of people because he liked to go to battle and minced no words as he directed people how to adhere to code. Yeah, okay, he was a stickler at the details. Okay. Another former colleague who also spoke out shared similar sentiments, painting Heuermann as a stickler who liked to toot his own horn about his accomplishments in his field. But okay, not a lot to draw on that. So yeah, he liked to show off his accomplishments, but kept quiet for over a decade about killing some folks. I don't know. We used to butt heads sometimes, Miyasoda said. I'm a creative, so I wanted to maintain my creative position, and he would bring things back to reality. All right, so he sounded like he was a pretty good collaborator. According to the designer, the 59-year-old murder suspect was perceived as odd, among colleagues, but would still join the team for lunches, happy hour, and other social events. So just kind of sound like a team player, I guess. But what really got underneath his skin, Gilgo Beach murderer Rex Heuermann, nicknamed after Family Guy character. Yes, of course, because you have any portly, large gentleman, he'll immediately get the Peter Griffin moniker, which, yeah, kind of, sort of, I guess. You can see it. I called him Peter, the Family Guy, mostly because of the way he looked. He was goofy. Big Apple architect who worked with Heuermann for almost 20 years told Fox News Digital. Former colleague was asked not to be named, said that he was shocked at the ghastly allegations against a Massapequa Park married father of two, whom he described as really friendly and really nice. Oh, okay, but you only worked with him for 20 years. Oh, okay, interesting. A year ago, my wife was watching a documentary about this case, telling me how a guy was out here killing all these girls on Long Island. I could have never imagined this. It's like the Twilight Zone. But yeah, you can see the similarities right there, obviously. But yeah, until we have more information, not really a lot to go on. Okay, it's very, yes, salacious. Okay, a bunch of young sex workers ended up getting yeeted. There's a serial killer on the loose, and we know how much true crime just loves to trend on social media. So yes, just like what's his nuts there, Brad Koberger over in University of Idaho, and the little developments that are out there. If there comes a time where I need an update on this case, I'll definitely be doing that as well, especially when my voice comes around on that. Sorry for all that stuff. There's only so much that a boy can do. So yeah, that's a little primer. We can definitely fill in some gaps at a later time. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.